Today is Wednesday, and that means NC State football is back on the grass. Fall camp is underway. Kenton is going to walk us back down memory lane.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Happy Wednesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, fall camp is now officially here. Just one more, road marker you have to hit on the road to kicking this 2025 season off. We had a question Wednesday asking you to detail how fall camp evolved and if you could share some memories. All right, so this question comes from Jim Brewer. It says, question for Kenton. Can you tell us the timeline for a football player enrolling in for the fall semester? What is the process and times he acquires, the skills the coaches can teach him, and when does he get the playbook? I'll read the rest here, but Kenton, we'll start on just that question alone.
Yeah, so the process of enrolling and all that. Right now, there is no school to enroll in, thank God, because these players are going to be at the facility from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. I mean, sun up to sundown, they're going to be in the facility. Now, what is the process of teaching the skills in the playbook? So the skills part, you never finish with that. You're literally always kind of sharpening that. But the playbook per se, here's the thing. You get the entire playbook very early, but you only install and go through things bit by bit. You install. So whenever you hear a coach say, hey, man, that's day one install, what that means is on the first day of camp, you came in with this play as like hey, we need to know how to run this play. If you ever seen the show or the movie, rather, Semi-Pro, when they were like, oh, we got to run this play until we throw up, right? That's what your day one install is. It is the play that even if everything is going wrong, even if there's nothing else that you can do, even if your offense or defense is seeing all the injuries in the world, we need to be able to run this play. So generally, those day one installs are things like inside zone, base defense, all that type of stuff, to where for the freshmen who are enrolling during the summer, they can catch up. Because if you would bring in a freshman and say, hey, you need to know on day one, the difference between 62 toss power trap and 62 toss power trap waggle with a Y snag, it's like, wait, what? How do I discern these two? And granted, if you know football well enough, depending on your position, you only need to know a part of that. The quarterback is the only person that needs to know the entire call, even defensively. If you understand how linebackers are some of the only ones, and in that off-the-ball linebackers be the only ones need to know that. But generally, when you talk about the playbook, it's installed in segments. You get this part of the playbook first. It's about, for defenses, it's generally a lot simpler. You get somewhere between like 1 and 5 or 6 plays, and then you repeat that interval of about 5 to 6 each day or each couple of days until you've got the playbook fully filled out, until the coaches feel like, all right, they know how to run smack, missile, cowboy. Now we can add in all of these other blitzes. Now we can add in our double safety blitz, or now we can add in our nickel pressure. Now we can add in our simulated pressure. But you start off with the very basics. It's like building a house. You don't build your house from the roof down. You build it from the foundation up. And so that's how the playbook is installed. It's installed by things that are foundational to your team, and then you build on top of that foundation. So that's how that goes.
The next couple questions here in the middle, and then I'll add one on for additional context. It says, when do the coaches make the selection of who is going to start and what the main difference is between spring camp and also at fall camp? So the question I'll throw in here for additional context. So we play ECU on August the 28th. Obviously, today is July 30th. Kenton, when do you project that it gets very real? When do you get into full-on game prep as opposed to the early days of fall camp?
I think the first couple days of fall camp is just excitement. It's just we're happy to be back out here, all that good stuff. But once you get into about a week of fall camp, a week and a half, that's where you start to kind of set in who belongs where, who has consistently shown up. Because first couple of days of camp, you're going to get the people that sprint out the gates and all that good stuff. It's about maintaining it. It's about maintaining that sprint and your body holding up and all those types of things. And so, that's the first week and a half. The way that it's set up is based on spring camp. So spring camp to fall camp is like Infinity Wars to Endgame. Like it's one sets up the other, right? You have one where it's like, okay, based on what we saw in spring, this is what the depth chart would look like. And then fall camp is like, all right, this is the end game. This is where we're getting to the point where we're going to these are the guys that are going to be starting against ECU. And guys obviously have the chance to move up or down on the depth chart, much more likely based on what you do at fall camp than spring camp. If you would ask 100 college football players, would you rather have a terrible spring and a great fall camp or a great spring and a terrible fall camp? All 100 would say the former, not the latter. Everybody would say, oh, give me a terrible spring and make the fall camp happen, because that's where you earn your reps. That's where all that happens. So you started off with your 1s, 2s, 3s, and then your freshmen / developmental guys, your walk-ons, your camp bodies per se. For those of you who don't know the term camp bodies, camp is intensive. It is very hard. You have additional players who are either walk-ons or gonna gray shirt that you have during camp that are heavily included in practice, that when the season gets here, no such time. You just don't have time to get them reps of everything the same way you do with during camp, where you're all ball all day. There is no chemistry quizzes. You don't have to worry about English 201. None of that is happening during camp. So you need the camp bodies, quote unquote, per se, to kind of ease the amount of wear and tear that you're putting on the bodies of the guys that are going to play. That's what who's going to start looks like. That's, again, it's fluid. A bad fall camp by you, a great fall camp by the guy behind you, they can move up, or injury and all that. It could happen. But the basis for who's starting on day one comes out of spring camp.
You also mentioned that it is fluid. And obviously, there's positional battles going on. But if you had to estimate, when do you think the coaching staff, so from day one to kickoff is roughly about a month. Where in that process do you feel like they have a pretty good idea of who their 22 starters will be?
I would say about week 2.5. Week 2.5, at that point, you generally know. You don't want to be going into week 3 still trying to figure out who's your starter in a lot of these situations. You may say, oh, this guy's better for this package or this guy's better for this package. But by that time, once you get to week 2.5, week 3, you need to kind of know by then, like, all right, this is the guy. And at the end of the day, even if you have a doubt or feeling that you could be wrong, don't get analysis paralysis. You've got to go with somebody. Somebody has to be out on that field first. So, go with what you think is best and kind of let the chips fall where they may, see who rises or falls on game day. But, generally you're looking at, by the midway point, your starters start to solidify, and it starts to be like, all right, this is what we say the ones, you're going out there. You're, as opposed to like, oh, you get this many reps with the ones and you get this many. Today you're with the one. No. By week 2.5 towards the start of week 3, you kind of have everything ironed out for like, hey, we're about to get into game prep, and we can't properly game prep if we're trying to decide who the 1s and 2s are here.
And then last couple sentences here from Jim. It says, take us to the opening game of the season against ECU. My wife is an NCSU grad and an ECU grad. We lived in Greenville for about 5 years. I have high expectations for state. Go Pack. So, walk us through the last couple weeks of fall camp, those last couple days where what's the feeling of the team just raring to go?
Well, first of all, it's like you said, it's excitement everywhere. You're excited to be in game prep finally. You're about to hit somebody that's wearing a different color jersey than you finally. And even beyond that, you're excited to be, some players get excited to go back to school, have more people on campus, do things other than football. I know that everybody would like to think, oh, that's a loser mentality. You should just be obsessed with football. Listen, I was one of those guys that was insane about football, but everybody's not that. And I'm telling you, we had some absolute studs who were not that way. That was like, hey, I just want to play football all day. If we could have fall camp all year round, I'd be happy. So, you get excited about going back to class, furthering your education, doing what you need to do there. But in terms of the opening week, by the end of week 3, you are now in game prep mode. you are now fully locked in and ingratiated into, hey, this is the opponent. This is what they do well. This is what they do poorly. This is who's going to start. This is how we're going to attack it. And you're kind of going from there. So that's what game week looks like. Yeah, obviously, you have the clock all off season that says on the clock, ECU, and it's a countdown from the moment that the season ends until game one, until literally the second of kickoff. There's a clock that functions in that way. Most people, myself personally, I never paid much attention to that clock until it was time, until I'm looking at 48 hours or less. That's when I really start like, all right, I'm about to play a game. Before that, I'm like, this is business. I'm doing my job. I need to know how to do what I do. I need to, perfect my craft and all that. But that 48 hours is when I start lathering up for like, oh, yeah, I'm going to see somebody today. It's either going to be he eats or I eats. Both of us can't eat today. One of us going to starve, and it ain't going to be me.
Big shout out to Jim Brewer for the question. I think that was a very informative session here from Kenton. Hopefully that sheds some light a little bit on the behind the scenes of the early stages of fall camp, taking you all the way down to kickoff toward the end of August. So again, thank you to Jim, and hopefully for the rest of our listeners, that helps shed some additional context there as well. Coming up next, we're getting into our hottest takes on the offensive side of the ball. Monday, we talk defense. Today, we talk offense. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our Wednesday sponsor is 5 Hour Energy. It's time to fuel up and then turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor to any of your favorite golf drinks, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off the course, you just need that extra boost in order to stay sharp and energized. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5 and then hourenergy.com, you can use our promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off of your order. Now until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with any other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, so head on over to 5hourenergy.com today and turn those 18 holes into 36 holes using the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-hour energy shots today. Middle portion of our Wednesday show, let's talk some more hot takes. We gave our hot takes for the defensive side of the ball for NC State on Monday. Got a lot of great answers both in our YouTube comments and on Twitter as well. I think we even doubled that number when we switched gears and talked about the offense. Kenton, I'll kick this off to you first. Give me your hottest take for the NC State offense this fall.
A lot of people are talking about NC State's going to score a lot of points and all that, and 35, 30, what's the number and all that. I got something that's even hotter than that for you. NC State will be in the upper half of the conference in both rushing and passing. It will be in the top half of the conference in both. This team will be balanced. This offense will be scary because the offensive line is looking scarier and scarier by the day. The offensive line is looking better and better. The more I look at this offensive line, the more I think this is one of the better offensive lines that we've had. Now, let me tell you the importance of that. Obviously, in the run game, an offensive line creates positive yards in terms of how many yards can Hollywood Smothers go if he's not touched for the first 4 to 5. How many yards? Duke Scott, from what I hear, has speed like we have not seen in quite some time. And Mr. Palin, the payday or pay dirt package, whatever you want to call it, okay? Just know the ball in his hands is a scary sight for defenses. And I'm telling you, that trio of running backs is I don't think it's even close. From what I've heard, they're the fastest trio of running backs that we've had in quite some time. You combine that with an offensive line that allows them to make big plays, that gives you a lot of thought there. But then you look at the wide receiver depth. You look at a quarterback with a big arm. You look at a quarterback that's another year in understanding, hey, this is what's required of me out of this system. Continuity that even though you switched offensive coordinators, you still have the same quarterback coach, and he understands what you see, how you process it. This team is one that is primed to be in that space to be getting a lot of yards because, again, outside, Grimes, Mr. 424, Noah Rogers. I mean, Do we have to say anything besides Noah Rogers? You see the type of catches that he makes in the tight spaces he makes them in. Keenan Jackson, a guy that I rant and rave about endlessly. I saw he had his nephew catch one of the NC State balloons that they signed today. I said, get that kid the offer, Dave Doeren. He needs the offer. But in all seriousness, this is a wide receiver and pass catching core that is so deep. And I just talked about the pass catcher or the wide receivers, not even the guy who led the team in receiving last year in Justin Jolie. This team has it everywhere where you have to pick your poison. And I think that that's how they're going to win games this year because you have so many different options. You have, you're bad against teams that run the ball. May I interest you in 20 carries of some Hollywood Smothers and Duke Scott and Jonathan Taylor? Oh, you all are bad at stopping the deep ball? Hey, Wesley, you know that 4-2-4 thing? Go prove it, brother. Now's your moment. Oh, you all have very soft zones and your linebackers aren't good in coverage. May I interest you in some Jolie, please? This is something that you should look at. So I think that that's ultimately what we're looking at here. This is going to be a very balanced offense and a very effective offense, in my opinion.
I distinctly remember last year in 2024 when we got all the new additions and how exciting they were to, think about the NC State offense being high-powered. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but something we always talked about is the pure athleticism that we have in the wide receiving room and even back in the backfield. And of course, it didn't quite materialize last year, but I think a full year of experience with CJ Bailey and everyone else developing in their own right in that wide receiving room and Hollywood Smothers, taking on the bell cow role here in 2025. I think that this could be the year, kind of to Kenton's point, that you really get to see what these guys can do. And if you simplify some of the offense in terms of play calling and just utilizing your best playmakers and getting them into space, thought we were going to get last year in 2024, but we will get them in 2025. So I really like that take from Kenton. I have a couple hot takes, but my first one, we've talked a lot about Justin Jolie and how one of his goals should be, a finalist for the Mackey Award. My take is that he wins it. I think we have the best tight end in the country on our team, and I'm predicting that he's going to win the John Mackey Award, the best tight end in the country.
I love that hot take, and I'm going to tell you something. Justin Jolie, he's as special of a human being as he is a player, but I'm going to tell you, Justin Jolie, the player, is a dog, okay? He's the type of guy that you want the ball in his hands. He wants the ball to be in his hands, but I've never seen him complain about not getting the ball. That's the type of player we're talking about here. And by the way, how many tight ends in the nation led their team in receiving yards? How many did that? How many guys from the wide position could be the guy that is the spearhead of the attack of a team's offensive pass attack? Not many. Not many. The most interesting thing about all of the things that Justin Jolie did last year, we were still calling for him to get the ball more.
Yes.
That's how good this young man is. How many times have we seen a leading receiver or rusher where we're like, you're not feeding him enough. It's not enough. Find him more. That's the type of player we're looking at here. The run after catch ability, special. The way that he breaks at the top of routes, separation is going to be there. It's about. But even if he doesn't separate, for a tight end that's not necessarily the tallest, biggest guy, you see a lot of tight ends these days, 6'5", 6'6". He's not that tall, but you know what he does do? He plays that tall. You throw up that jump ball with him and guys that are his height or close to it, see who's coming down with it. It's not a 50-50 ball if you're throwing a fade ball to Justin Jolie. It's more of a 70-30 ball,
I think you have not one, but two pass catchers that tally over 1,000 yards this year. Now, I think one of them will be Jolie. Obviously, if he's going to win the Mackey, then that makes a lot of sense there, connecting the dots. I think one of them will be Jolie. The cool thing about this, I think we have 4 different wide receivers that could be the one that does it. I think Noah Rogers could do it. I think Wesley Grimes could do it. I think both Keenan Jackson and Terrell Anderson could also do it. I think any one of those 4 has the ability to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. Now, some of that will also hinge on the play of CJ Bailey, the pass protection from the offensive line. There's a lot of different factors that play there. But my hot take is that NC State will have not 1, but 2 1,000-yard receivers.
I'll tell you what, my family's living good off that Keenan Jackson stock, ain't it? They're living good. They're living good. I remember buying it as soon as he flipped. I said, that's of all the guys out of that class, he's a very special receiver. But I could absolutely see him getting it Same for Terrell Anderson. And I'm going to tell you, we know and we have seen what Grimes and Rodgers can do in starter kind of minutes and targets. But the thing that I think is most interesting here, we have not seen what they can do from a capacity of our offense having a extremely effective run game. Because to me, when I look at both of those guys, I say, there are some receivers, slot guys per se. Slot guys don't get a ton of help from a really good running game. Like it's every position is obviously helped when you're having success offensively. That don't, make no bones about that. But those two in particular, guys who will stretch the field, guys who, you are looking for, hey, I want to find you one-on-one deep. Those type of guys in particular are given, it's like you giving compound V when they catch on to, oh man, we run the ball well now. Oh wait, they can't put two high safeties anymore. That's going to be a problem for secondaries. And I think that with these two in particular, you're looking at a situation where if we run the ball well, I would be shocked if we're top 5 in rushing and one of those guys didn't go over 1,000, because you need somebody when they decide, all right, that's enough. Hollywood's averaging 6 yards a carry, Duke's averaging 5, and Paylor's coming in with 8. We need something to stop this. We need to drop that extra body in the box. Oh, look at that crosser. Look at that crosser right there. Didn't even notice it, did you? Oh, look at that big post. Oh, your safety was just sitting there thinking to himself, I've got to stop the crosser. Now, all of a sudden, you got Wesley Grimes flashing behind you. So I think both of these guys could be in a position to be very special this year.
I think I saved the hottest take for last year. NC State will lead the ACC in points per game. And I think I said that maybe months ago about that could be a possibility if you lean a little bit more on the offense than the defense this year. I'm just going to fully lean in on it. And when you look last year in the ACC, Miami actually led the conference in scoring. I think it was right around 44 points a game. I think NC State, to accomplish this year in 2025, they're going to have to be somewhere probably between like 38 and 42 points a game. Now, a lot of you just said, no freaking way that's going to happen. We know what Dave Doeren's teams usually do. We know what the NC State offense usually looks like. I don't know. If they simplify things, if Kurt Roper can really get the most out of a kid like Noah Rogers or a Wesley Grimes or a Hollywood Smothers, insert other names here, I don't know, guys. Like, we could be lighting up scoreboards. It's a massive asterisk. I know it's a big hypothetical, but I think they have the athletes in order to do it. They do. I think the play calling and the scheme and the execution is going to have to meet that at the top. But I think they have the dogs. They have the horses in the stable to be able to pull something like that off. So that's my last hot take, that NC State will lead the ACC in scoring.
And for those of you who are like, oh no, there's no way, Doeren coach teams just can't get in that territory, and we definitely are seeing 40 points per game. Well, here's the interesting thing about it. You're not going to need 40. Okay. Yes, correct. You've had a couple of years where, you saw Pitt and Wake Forest a few years ago average 40. Yes, you saw it from Miami last year, but by and large, 35-ish is enough to get you there. 35, 36 is enough to have you there. And that is a high task. That is a high bar. Do not mistake what me and Grayson are saying for, this is nothing, but this team can get there.
That's why it's a hot take. It's not exactly something that's for certain, but I wouldn't exactly rule it out as impossible quite yet either. We'll definitely see and keep our ear to the ground on how the offense is projecting out over the course of fall camp here for the next month or so. Coming up next, we're getting into a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of something. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes here on Wednesday. Now time for a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of something. 3 topics. We'll tell you exactly where we stand on them. First one's basketball related. I have seen that Darian Williams has won the last 2 consecutive Wolfpack Player. Kenton, what do you make of our potential best player rising up and looking like our best player? Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
It's great to see your best players leading by example, practicing like the best player, following all of the example in terms of nutrition, in terms of sleep, in terms of who they are academically and all that, being that. It's important that happens, because when your best players are your hardest workers, it brings everybody along with you. If your hardest workers are your end of the bench guys, it's easy to say, oh, man, he's got to do that because he wouldn't be here without straining and darn near killing himself every day. But, he's not going to play anyway. It's much harder to say I'm not going to be a hard worker as well when it's a guy who lit it up and averaged 20 in the NCAA tournament doing that.
Yeah, and sometimes, again, and I hate using this quote because Urban Meyer said it, and I'm very on record a Urban Meyer hater. I might be his number one hater, but he says your stars have to be your stars. And I think when you're looking at Will Wade's squad this year, and maybe there are still some question marks about our post play and the front court's perhaps a little bit thin, you might need a guy like Darian Williams to pull a little bit additional weight and play maybe even better than he has the last couple of years at Texas Tech. And to do that, he's going to have to lead by example, to Kenton's point. So I'm very excited at the thought of Darian Williams taking an additional step forward, or two, maybe even three, because he was one of the best players in college basketball last year. And if he can unlock another level after that, it's only going to benefit us in the long run. So it does matter that your best players are acting, looking like, and playing like your best players. So Darian Williams winning the last two, I think it's called the Wolfpack Standard Player of the Week. Congratulations to D5. Next one here. There is a new score sponsor, if you've seen this or not, at Carter Finley. Andy Albright has done a lot of work with both Savage Wolves and One Pack, and his name is now the new sponsor for the scoreboard at Carter Finley. Kenton, we've talked a little bit about some renaming possibilities at Carter Finley. What do you make of the scoreboard being renamed? Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of nothing. At the end of the day, a name being on there doesn't carry. And I don't want anybody to mistake this for saying Andy Albright's impact is a whole lot of nothing. I don't want that to be mistaken here. The work that he does, immensely valuable, immeasurably valuable to this program. But in terms of naming, I wouldn't care if they named it Grayson Boomfield tomorrow. More power to you. I would. Well, it'd be nice, but more power to you. But you got to go and do the things still. You have to do the things on that field that are meaningful.
This is another step in the right direction, like we've been saying. Any way that NC State can generate a little extra revenue, it matters in the long run. I mean, do I think the scoreboard revenue is going to be a ton? Most likely not. It won't move the needle in the same way that renaming the stadium might, or any other, maybe a sponsor on the 35-yard line or something like that. But I mean, it's nice to see some recognition for a Wolfpack guy who is Wolfpack through and through. I think he certainly deserves to have his name up there on the board, but I'm with Kenton for now. It doesn't shake the earth by any means, but it's a nice step in the right direction. And last one here, this one is camp related. I had a little birdie tell me something about Jonathan Paylor on day one. Reportedly, he was seen working almost extensively with the running back room. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
I'd say a whole lot of something because I'm intrigued to see how he's used. I'm intrigued to see where the payday package comes into play. I'm very intrigued to see, is he, going to be primarily a running back? Is he going to be a slot receiver? Is he going to be a gadget guy where it's like, hey, you run all of our jet sweeps. Anytime somebody's in jet motion and we're snapping the ball, it's going to be you. You may not get the ball every time, but we want defenses to see you and say, we got to watch him. I'm intrigued by it. A whole lot of something.
Yeah, very interesting because we had just had that conversation about a week and a half ago about how do you use Jonathan Paylor effectively now in year two, because we didn't really get to see him at all last year. Is it at wide receiver? Is it at running back? Punt return, kick return? There's so many options, and I do hope that they kind of give him the Nyheim Hines route, whether that's doing kick return, which I do expect Paylor to be involved with this year, possibly punt return, the same deal. Any way you can get him, get this man the rock. He has electric speed. He can make people miss in the open field. There's no reason to have somebody as athletic and talented as Jonathan Paylor is to not utilize him on the field. So if they do feel like using him out of the backfield is the best purpose, good. Work on it now. Go ahead and get it implemented now, because once the season rolls around, you could really use that home run speed that Jonathan Paylor has. So definitely a whole lot of something. That will do it for us here on Wednesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Give us your thoughts on fall camp. Additional questions to shed light on, we can certainly do that at the end of the week for Fan Friday. Let us know your hot takes on offense if you have not already. Be sure to flood the YouTube comment section with those. Had a ton of them. Again, ton of great comments on Twitter. I love reading through all of those. So let's make sure we get those on YouTube as well. Last but certainly not least, anything else you have on your mind, drop that in the comment box as well. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you right back here tomorrow on Thursday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.